Welcome to the EP Sports Zone. I'm Abby Hooven, sports editor of the Eastern Progress, and I'm here with my co-host, Zach Weston.
Hey, Abby, how we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
You know, I can't complain. As we'll get to at the end of the podcast, I'm finally on the board, and you didn't this week, so I cannot wait to talk about that.
I'm sure we're all waiting on the edge of our seats for that one. But first, we've got a special guest with us today. We've got David Miller. He's the Athletics Digital Broadcast and Video Director. So welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. Yeah. You know, I've been chiming in every now and then, listening to what you guys do. Like, impressive work.
Thank you. So we kind of wanted to just start off by asking what kind of led you to pursue a career in broadcasting?
Honestly, like, I tell people this all, like, I was born for this. Like, I didn't search it out. Like, I was literally made for what I do. I like eat, sleep, and drink sports as a kid, and I truly, while I was watching it on TV, for me it was either in front of the mic or behind it. I didn't care which one. So I was just meant to do this. And I recently had, you know, like a high school reunion. I am one of 3 people that I graduated with that are actually doing what they said they would be doing.
Wow. So, you know, kind of getting to that, you graduated from EKU and you worked with athletics during your undergrad years. What was that like?
That was an eye-opening experience. When, you know, we see games on TV, you know, that school up the street, when you see like their productions being done and you're like, okay, and then you come in and you help out here and you realize that it is nothing like that. I cut my teeth on all of that before we even started with like ESPN Plus, before it was the OVC Digital Network. There was the OVC.TV, I think it was. And one of the first productions that I ever helped out with was my first fall back in school since I came back as like a non-traditional student. Nobody was working cameras. It was like if the ball was on the right side of the court, you were on camera 1. As they dribble it up to mid-court, you're on camera 2. As they end up on the left side of the court, you're on camera 3. Like, that's literally what it was. So then, like, and I just came in to help out. Like, I started out as the PA announcer for EKU softball. This was while I was trying to get back into school. I just went up to the athletics department. Hey, I want to help. What can I do? Well, softball needs a PA announcer. All right, dope, sign me up. So I did that, and then in my first year doing that, the head coach, Jane Worthington, only head coach we've had, fantastic lady, they called me while I was slinging coffee in Lexington at a Starbucks and offered me their manager scholarship, really just to handle their media. So, and then around that same time, I was asked to come manage the Starbucks, like here on campus. So all that stuff just lined up for me. And then with that, my willingness to want to work with the athletic department, they're allowing us to grow a partnership that was later started within the Video 2 class once the OVC.TV went away and we had the OVC Digital Network. You know, our conference at the time had invested in some broadcasting equipment, and the professor at the time, Dr. John Taylor, they had approached him and said, hey, listen, we need your students, you know, help us, you know, work this gear. And I just happened to be in that like inaugural class. And I would have been doing it anyway because I enjoyed like what I did and I knew it was going to help me in the long run. Like I will tell anybody, like if you're listening, you're a college student, man, go out there and get your hands dirty. That is how you will stand out above everybody else. So I just loved it.
So we know you as like a video director doing all that, but you mentioned that you did PA for softball and you've done some play-by-play work too. So like in the OVC Volleyball Championships in 2012, what's it like doing play-by-play?
Doing play-by-play is fantastic, just for lack of any other word. Like, you sit there, you watch a game, and you just talk about what's going on. You try to add your own flavor to it, which is something that I try to do. You know, you try to bring a level of entertainment to the game itself. Some prep work that needs to go into it. You know, you want to make sure that You're up to date on who the key players are, depending on your sport. Like I have called softball, baseball, soccer, and volleyball here at Eastern. So you want to make sure that, first and foremost, pronunciations. Not just of your team, but of the visiting team. Because,
take notes, Abby.
They are.
You too.
Their names are just as important as the players on our own teams. And then there's some people who do extreme amounts of prep work, and then there are some people who do very minimal prep work. I know 2 such broadcasters in my EKU career, and I fall somewhere in the middle, but more leaning towards not as much prep work, as opposed to, because right now, this day and age, boom, we're playing Ohio University in baseball. We just had that series wrap up here. I would have done some, hey, how are people hitting right now? But beyond that, John Doe comes to bat, I'll just read off his profile. Here's John Doe, senior from wherever, stuff like that. But calling, it's fun. You got to pay attention. You got to stay locked in, not get carried away when, the game gets out of hand one way or another. It doesn't matter. Sometimes we hear that people go off on tangents and just talk about things completely unrelated to what's going on. And then the downside to all of this, and it's not even really a downside because I still enjoy watching sports, but it has ruined you for watching sports for the sheer entertainment value of watching sports. Just recently in the playoffs, I had my heart broken by the 49ers, but that's all right. While I still try to watch the game for the enjoyment factor, I'm looking to see, hey, what's the director doing? Why are they doing this? Or if I personally feel like they're on a shot too long, I'm yelling at my screen, hey, camera 3 or something. But, doing play-by-play, it's awesome. I always thought that I'd end up, being the next Joe Buck or something like that. But, those are just, guys like that are just like your professional athletes. You are the top 0.001% of everybody that's trying to do this. So for me, I'm absolutely 100% happy and content with doing what I am doing right here at my alma mater.
For those who might not know the ins and outs that go into getting a game on the TV, could you kind of explain what a typical game day looks like, say, for a basketball game here?
Absolutely. So for a basketball game here, for those that don't know, actually here we're kind of lucky. So we have a fantastic infrastructure right now, at least within the Coliseum, that allows us to just go to our camera positions, plug in our cameras, plug in our headsets, and we're pretty much locked and loaded. With my current group of co-op students and help, we can be set up for a basketball game about 15, 20 minutes if nothing goes wrong. One of the things that I stress even to the people who don't know, this is a hurry up and wait business. You're going to hurry up to get everything ready and pray that nothing goes wrong, because you're going to wait for the start of the game or you're going to wait for something to fail, one or the other. But, we have to go through, we would have to set up each camera position. We white balance our cameras, making sure that the picture looks good. We'll go in, we'll draw, we'll pull a good focus. Sometimes we have to readjust the back focus of a camera. Then I have to call ESPN about an hour out. We get a check with transmission. Give them a tour of the cameras, let them see our graphics computer, which is also, we're setting all these things up at exactly the same time. We run a monitor to our talent so they can see, what's going on when we run replays, stuff like that. And then we call our logger. After a transmission says we're good, we do what they call a lip sync as well. I'll run them our recent Booksmart commercial, and they just make sure, that the lips are matching the words and all that jazz. So once we get the clear for that, we wait. I make another phone call to the Zoom bridge, the Disney Zoom bridge, since, Disney is ESPN, ABC, the world. So then I talk to a logger, and sometimes it's not me. Sometimes I'll pass it off to the co-op students to let them see what it's like. Talking to them is relatively simple. You're talking to them 5-6 times a game. I mean, I'm lowballing that because we have more media breaks than that. But it's essentially for a local break, meaning it's one that we run. We really don't talk to them. We just run the break. But we'll have to count them out or count them into a break. They'll count us out from a break. We go over the format together. So other than that, I mean, a lot of it is, I don't know. I try to ask some people what they think about what goes into the actual production of a game, because I never really thought about it until, I started doing it. And with the current crop of Video 2 students, because that partnership still continues with Professor Philip Smith, and I'm extremely grateful for that, because I pull my co-op students from there. Like, I do my recruiting out of that class, and I honestly think that it is important. Like I said, I want you guys to get your hands dirty, regardless of what your end game is. I tell this to the students. You could be film, where film is your end game, or you want to work, on the Universal lot shooting whatever show is shot there. If you can find and capture an amazing action shot where you have absolutely no idea where the action is going to happen, other than you'll suspect where things are going down at. But imagine what you can do with something scripted where you know exactly where everything is going to happen at. But when I ask them, is this what you thought went into it? A lot of them, their eyes get a little bit big, and they're like, no, there's a lot more that went into it than they thought. But like I said, we don't have to run cable, for, the CBS Game of the Week, March Madness, whenever that starts. I imagine the production people who are handling that, depending on the venue, some venues have good infrastructure laid out for what they call a truck dock. But like I have seen, Tupelo Raycom, we'll just use them for example. They were a partner with our previous conference and helped do some of our ESPN3 games. They would be slinging cable everywhere. So we're lucky in that aspect.
So you've been here a while. You've done a lot of great work with just capturing stuff like you talked about. You've seen some crazy plays and moments. So if you had to pick a few that you're like, wow, I'm glad I captured that, what would they be?
As my ESPN ringtone goes off, I should probably adjust that. My apologies. No, there've been some amazing moments here. Top 3 off the top of my head. I'm going to go Glenn Cozy. I can't remember the year, but I want to say I was still a student. Glenn Cozy. He is now playing professionally. I want to say in Greece, but he is a pro overseas. He pulled up just at the buzzer, or it goes off, he banks it in at the buzzer, it hits the backboard when the lights go off from just beyond half court to beat somebody. I can't remember who, but all I know is he went nuts, and the arena erupted. Corey Walden, who was on that team, it could have been 14 when we won the conference tournament, but I strictly remember Glenn Cozy hitting the shot, running completely to the video board side of alumni, because at this time our benches were switched. Mm-hmm. So if you've been in AC now, our benches, if you are looking where the center logo is facing the right way, our benches are on the left, and the visiting team is on the right. It didn't used to be that way. Mm-hmm. So when he hit that, that's obviously our side. I just watch our bench get up and just chase him down. He's running towards the video board, and we're all students at this point. So, my job at the university didn't even exist. So we're producing this game for the OVC Digital Network at the same time. And this is where I learned, when I say locked in, you got to stay locked in, because you can't get caught up in that sort of hype, even though you want to. Mm-hmm. You gotta swallow that. But then Corey Walden gets up on our old tables, not our new LED tables. I mean, he's just flexing. That was super cool. A few years ago, Nick Mayo hit a fadeaway to beat Northern right here. So that was a pretty exciting moment. And then this past year, double overtime against Jacksonville State, just watching Parker McKinney do what he does. I want to say those right now are some of my top 3s.
Which sports would you say are your favorite to do the video production for?
I know this is going to sound bad. I mean, all of them. because, like, I love what I do, you know, and each one offers a different challenge. Each one is unique in its own way, at least in terms, obviously, like women's basketball, men's basketball, the productions are the same for all intents. Same with softball and baseball. So I love doing all of them. I love getting all of our student athletes the recognition that they deserve, and just being able to handle business. And then not only that, but being able to share my knowledge, help you guys hone your crafts, so that when you leave here, you know, you guys are ready to go. But all of them. All
right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on. You've been great. We've got one more question, and we'll let you go. If you had to narrow it down to, and I know it's hard, narrow it down to one thing, what's been the best part of this job for you?
This will also sound like, well, I go my knee-jerk, you know, laugh, funny joke, and, you know, just getting paid. But honestly, for me, what I love about it is being able to do this, but then watching you guys, like, come and go, essentially. Like, I like seeing that people who have been in our, you know, in our department, who have co-opted with me, I like to see them go out and succeed. Like, I have a co-op student who is a producer on the Lee and Haley show. I have a co-op student who's directing at 36. He handles that. I have another co-op student. He's a shooter in Cincinnati. Recently was helping out with, like, CBS NFL. You know, I like watching you guys go out and succeed. So for me, that's the best part, and just still being able to be a part of that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and good luck with the rest of this season and everything that's to come.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, so getting into men's basketball, you know, it was about as good a week we could have hoped for. Wednesday we played against Jacksonville State. We lost 81-68. Mike had another big night, 23 points, 6 rebounds, not 10. That's important later. Kurt Lewis had 16 points and 3 steals. Devontae Blanton had 13 and 6 rebounds. You know, so not a bad performance. In the second half, we actually outplayed Jacksonville State. But once again, as is habit with this team, you know, we got down big at half. We were down 17, and then of course we had to climb back out of that. You know, only shot 38.1% from the field, 28% from 3, 76% from the free throw line, and we got outscored by 10 in the paint. Only had 5 points off the bench. Jacksonville State had 23. That was kind of the difference in the game, you know. So we came out on the road and just didn't come out with the punch that we needed to. But, you know, that was kind of expected at this point in the year.
It wasn't their best performance, but when we look ahead at the Bellarmine game, that's where we looked our best, probably in the last month or two. And we played Bellarmine at home, and we pulled out a win, 72-58. I mean, that was a big game for us. The crowd was into it. The players were locked in on offense and defense, and I think that was a well-rounded game on both ends.
Yeah, well, that was the good thing to see. You know, on offense, it just shows how good we are when we're making shots. We at half, we shot 13 of 26 from the field, 8 of 16 from 3. If we're shooting like that, we're going to score a lot. But like, Bellarmine's such an efficient offensive team, and we took them right out of it defensively. That was the first game in, you say, a month. I'm going to say in conference play that we, like, really shut a team down and did not let them get into what they wanted to do. So that's definitely exciting, you know, heading into the tournament to put a stamp on a game defensively like we did.
We finished shooting 49% on the game, and lately the trend's been opponents are shooting that well against us, but Bellarmine, their shots weren't falling. We were disrupting them. Our press really got going in this game, and Jamaru had 15 points alone in the first half. I mean, he just went off, and it was senior day, so he was showing out for the fans, and the fans loved it right back at him. So it was a good win. He ended up finishing with 22 points. Rob had 14, but it was a solid game heading into the ASUN tournament.
Yeah, you know, what was exciting was that the ball popped. You know, we finished with over 10 assists, which we haven't done as of late. And the ball moved. You know, Jamaru had 22, but it wasn't like he had 22 on 25 shots. He was relatively efficient for what he has been, and that's huge. If the ball can move like this, I feel pretty good about where we're at in the conference. We have to take what we had today or on Saturday and bottle it up and tighten it and hold it and just offensively, defensively, and keep that rolling because in the ASUN tournament, every game is going to be a war. Especially
because we have to head out on the road. We were in the running for the 4 seed to get a home game. We needed Lipscomb to lose, but they ended up beating Central Arkansas by double digits. So we're heading off to Kennesaw State on Tuesday. So what's going to be key for them?
So, as has been key in our road games, we cannot get in a big hole. We just can't. I don't care if the score at halftime is 12-8 Kennesaw State. If we hold the ball, which we won't do. But even, what I mean? Even if we did that, I do not care. We cannot be down more than 10 going into halftime. We cannot do it. We just need to be close enough to where the second half is still a game. It's going to be we're going to have to win it on defense. Offensively, we have been so up and down this year. We're going to have to pack the defense because our offense might not travel to Kennesaw State. So we're going to have to play our tails off defensively. Nothing easy. We're going to have to get the press hitting a little bit to generate some offense, get some steals in transition. But in the half court, we just have to really just handle our business, tighten the screws. And if we do that, we should be good against Kennesaw State. But we have to show up, play defense, and then be ready to counterpunch once we get punched in the mouth.
If we're going to make a big run in this tournament, who do you think is going to have to step up and make big plays?
So I think our tournament run starts, ends, and in the middle with Devontae Blanton and Richard. So they're really important because they're the two guys in our offense that can help affect ball movement. Mike isn't a playmaker. He's a finisher on a lot of stuff. Threes, he'll get putbacks, he'll get a lot of ISO post-ups. You're not looking at him to create offense. Jamaru is a dynamo. He's a dynamic scorer, but he's not a guy that's going to try to involve other people, and that's not bad. He comes in, his job is to score, and that's what he's going to do. But with Richard and Devontae, they can do a little bit of scoring, but they can also get others involved. If you notice, in games where we have a high total of assists, Cooper Robb plays well, scoring-wise. Games we don't, Cooper Robb doesn't score. So those guys ensuring we have good ball movement, the ball gets to where it needs to go, that's going to be key. Because we need, it's going to take a village for us to beat teams. We need a lot of guys scoring. So we need Devontae and Richard to step up, not as scorers, but as playmakers to ensure that we're rolling on this big run. I would also say that as a final one, Wardy's going to have to give big minutes. We're not going to get by playing Mike at the 5, then a super small lineup for a ton of time. So Wardy's going to have to put the big boy pants on, and not that he doesn't already, but he's going to have to go to war with the bigs. So I think those 3 guys are our keys to going on a big run.
Well, we'll see how that goes, but we've also got women's basketball coming up too, but they played this past Thursday against Jacksonville State. They lost on the road 64-51. Jayla Johnson led the team with 13 points, 5 rebounds. Bria Bass had 9 points, 9 rebounds. She did what she always does and will continue to do for this team. And Ariel Kirkwood added 9 points as well. So we had a good game. It just didn't go our way.
Yeah, that was just a tough game against Jacksonville State. We showed up. We didn't shoot it well. 2 of 15 from 3. That was big for a few reasons. We don't normally take 15 threes in a game. And only making 2, Jacksonville State kind of just put their foot down, said, here's how you're going to play, and you're not going to play it very well. And we didn't. We let them get the upper hand stylistically. We only outscored them by 2 in the paint. Normally we want to put a plus 10, plus 12 margin in points in the paint. We were just kind of timid offensively, and we're content to settle. But that's going to happen. You can't come out every game like stone cold killers. They got up 15 at one point. We got outscored 22-13 in the third quarter. Kind of a letdown coming out of half. And then Jacksonville State really had success turning us over with 14 steals. So tough loss, but it's not the end of the world. They're a good team. I feel like it's kind of good to get a game like that out of your system before tournament play.
Well, we came back on Saturday against Bellarmine, and it was a closer one. It was still a win for us, 79-68. Bria Bass on senior day had 16 points and 8 rebounds. Hacker and Recanati had 11 points each. Kayra Freeman came in off the bench and added 10 points and 5 rebounds. This was a good win for us to get. We kind of expected to roll over Bellarmine just based on the record, but Bellarmine came out fighting, and they made it tough for us, especially down the stretch.
Yeah, Bellarmine came in with the mindset that they were going to make this game as ugly, mean, and nasty as possible. Came in, a lot of fouls. It took 80 minutes to get through the first half. They were just really putting their stamp down and playing physical, which that's what you do. If you're the far worst team on the road, they were going to come in. They didn't care to play bad guy. They were just really super physical, and it took us a while to adjust to it. Once we figured it out, it was fine. We kicked out a lead and didn't look back after that. But for senior day, it kind of stinks that the game that we played was so physical, and Bellarmine were just as Bellarmine is, just kind of being stoogey, and that just wasn't very fun.
Both teams combined for 55 fouls and 54 free throw attempts.
College refs, horrible.
We made 28 of our 31 free throws. We made 13 of 15 just in the second quarter alone. I mean, that second quarter was probably the most physical. Jayla Johnson gets into it a little bit with a player from Bellarmine and ends up getting 2 techs, gets thrown out as emotional knowing that it was senior day and her family was there. So we're not sure what the next game's going to hold, if she's going to be able to play or not. That's up to the ASUN, not up to us here. But it was only a 4-point game at half, but that second quarter really was more physical than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, so again, just like how the Jacksonville State game, we got that out of our system. In this game, I think it's good to get like a really just nasty physical game under our belts for the tournament. We're not going to see a game like that again. There were 55 fouls, and I thought there could have been 70. It was weird. The officials were interesting on what was a foul, what wasn't. It wasn't super consistent. But we did what the better team does. Came out in the second half, made some great halftime adjustments, busted out a 12-point lead in the third quarter. Bellarmine, who refused to go away, spouted off a 17-4 run of their own to take the lead. But we finished the game on an 11-0 run and just kind of closed the book on it. Bellarmine was not going to play spoiler on this day. We made sure of that.
We locked in those last 3 minutes. The game was tied 68-all, and we locked in on our defense. We started pressing a little bit. We got our shots to fall, and then we got our key stops when we needed it. So that was a good finish to the game. And now as we're looking ahead, we host an ASUN tournament game Wednesday against Kennesaw State at 7 p.m. So it'll be a good one to watch. I think it'll be a close game, but I think if we stick to what we know, if we get our paint involved, and if we can get some of our outside shots to fall, we'll be moving on.
Yeah, I think the key to this Kennesaw State game is not settling. So if you remember against North Alabama, we took a ton of weird 17-footers that let them get out and run well. So for this game against Kennesaw State, really the rest of the way, just live in the paint, shoot layups or threes. Just shoot layups, get fouled, score, go home. We can do that. We have, I would say, the most physical front court in the ASUN. So just wear them out. Wear Kennesaw State out, And when our starters come out, put Ariel in and do the same thing. Just abuse the paint. Abuse it, because no one's going to be able to stop it. So if we commit to taking easy shots and getting to the free throw line, I think we'll be just fine for this game.
And our paint's got to get them, or not just our paint, but our bench players down in the paint have to get involved. We've got to get Emma Hacker going. We've got to get Ariel going. And then Kayra Freeman can come in and run the point and do what she does, drive, get fouled, and just kind of add some more energy to the team when, if Alice gets in foul trouble again, we have Kayra coming in.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what coach does. Is it going to as you see some coaches do, they tighten up the rotation in tournament scenarios. The bench gets cut to 6 or 7. It'll be interesting to see what coach does because we've had 4 or 5 bench players have really good starter quality games this year. So it'll be interesting to see if he keeps the same rotation or if he whittles it down a little bit, or if he just starts becoming really situational with his subbing. So I think we'll learn a lot in year 1 with this game against Kennesaw State.
Moving on to baseball, we had a busy week at home. We had Wednesday against Kentucky State. We won 15-0. I mean, that was a stellar game for us, starting out a home stretch. Jalen Jones batted 3 of 5, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. I mean, this was just a solid offensive game for the whole team.
Yeah, Sebastian Grisho went 1 of 1, chipped in 3 walks, 2 runs, and 3 RBIs. As we'll get into later, have we found a gem in the JUCO ranks. He is something special at the plate. His bat is on fire right now, and he's got great discipline, with the 3 walks. You never see him chasing a pitch. So that's really key to have as far as consistency in the middle of the lineup goes. Max Williams added 3 runs, and he also walked twice while going 1 for 3. We pitched 4 players in the shutout, and Nico Leontarkis got the win. He only allowed 2 hits and struck out 4 in 4 innings. So it was a really good night for him.
It was a good way to start off a home stretch, too, getting that confidence after going on the road for a home series to start the season. And we came back with a big win, and then we carried it into this weekend against Ohio on Friday. We won 4-3, but Ohio kind of got up a little early in the first inning, and they did that again on Saturday, too, but we were able to get it tied in the third, and then, we had Will Bryan come in at the end of the game and get 5 outs to end it. So he was key for us.
He's special. I noticed you skipped over something in the Friday game. Sebastian hit a homer in the 4th. I didn't pick it this week, but as far as like me sort of getting the idea for how the team's going to go, I think I did a pretty good job. Sebastian hit a homer. Rod Chris the second doubled, and Will King scored to make it 4-2. We just had a great inning there. What more can you say about Will Bryan? I mean, if we have a lead in the 8th or 9th inning, you can just close it.
Absolutely.
He's that good. 5 outs, not even worried about anything. So that's got to be demoralizing for a team like Ohio. You walk in and you feel like you're going to go on a rally, and then Will Bryan comes and just snuffs out any hope of that. So that was a great win. Saturday against Ohio, we won 7-6. Won another close game. Kendall Ewell poked a single through the left side of the infield with the game tied, with 1 out, bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th. That was a super clutch play from him, and that's what he's been doing his whole career here. In big spots, you want him up at the plate. We got down 2-1 after the first inning. And then nothing happened until the 6th, where Ohio scored 2 runs to go ahead 4-1. But, as we felt the game slipping away, we answered in the 6th, bottom of it, to tie it 4-4. With 2 outs and 2 ons, Ewell singled through the left side to score Connor Davis. After that, Will King stepped up with the bases loaded and tied the game with a 2-run single. What I liked about this game was we didn't really have a ton of pop. We were just making steady contact, getting on base and scoring kind of the old-fashioned way. So we showed a very different way to win in this game against Ohio.
Reese Brown got the start for EKU. He struck out 8 batters in 4 1/3 innings. He only allowed 2 runs, only one of which was earned, and he ended up walking 4. But again, Will Bryan came in, picked up the win, and retired a batter in the top of the 9th. So once again, we looked to him to close the game when we really needed it.
Yeah, get a lead and then put them in and win. Wash, rinse, repeat. If we can just go in up a run, maybe 2, if some some weird lucky stuff happens and they manage to, put contact on the ball when he's in. But, that's just such a nice thing to have. Unfortunately, our luck ran out on Sunday against Ohio. We lost 4-0. We didn't have the same sort of spark at the end. You could tell we were kind of out of steam. We're punching a little bit above our weight class with Ohio, and it was great to get 2 wins, and just we ran out a little bit at the end.
We kind of let them get 3 runs in the 5th inning, and then like the last couple of games, I think we kind of expected that we would just come back and tie it up like usual, but bats weren't hitting. We had some good looks, but unfortunately they didn't go far enough. They're easy catches for the outfield, so it was hard knowing that we had fought so hard in the series to that point, and the bats just weren't clicking yesterday. Ohio did a great job pitching. They had some good shots, and we still won the series, but it still would have been nice to pick up 3-0.
Yeah, it's never good to get a loss, but winning this series against Ohio was huge for momentum. One thing I would like to point out, Sebastian Gricchio came in the 9th inning, and he hit a double. So he had the day off. He had played through our first 3 games, but giving him in, just throwing him out there. He's really asserting himself as a power guy in the middle of the lineup. Look for him to really improve off of that as the season goes on and he gets more accustomed to Division I pitching.
We've got a huge week of home games coming up again. We've got Marshall coming in on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Then we play Dayton at home on Wednesday, March 2nd at 4 as well. And then this coming weekend, March 4th through 6th, we play at home against Bowling Green. Friday's game starts at 4, Saturday at 2, and then Sunday at 1. So hoping to pick up some big wins there too.
Yeah, that's a big stretch, and I think we'll do well. It's good to be at home, just kind of catching our breath, getting to play in the friendly confines, and I think we'll do well. Moving into softball was a weird weekend. Weather really complicated things at the Frost Classic in Chattanooga. On February 25th against Southern Illinois, we lost 7-0 and really never got anything going. We just could not figure out how to hit their pitcher. She had a really nice game, and then their bats were hot. And I mean hot. They were doing some uncharacteristic things. The lone bright spot from that game was Sammy Miller. She had 2 hits, super consistent. It was a great weekend for her overall. Our second game in the Frost Classic on that day against Butler was canceled because of weather, and that kind of inconsistency kind of put a damper on the whole weekend.
I mean, it's almost spring, but not quite spring. You never really know what the weather's going to be like. It's just another thing to add to the mix, but you can't really help that. It's just part of life, part of playing an outdoor sport. But we came back on Saturday the 26th, played Northern Illinois. We lost 12-1. They were up 6-0 after 2 innings and never looked back. But the bright spot, Carly Robinson, went yard, scored our only run. So that was a bright spot for us. But then we turned around later in the day against UT Chattanooga and won 11-5. And that was a pretty solid game overall for us. Yeah,
the bats were into it early. Olivia Lipari hit a double right in the start, and that got driven in on the very next at-bat, got up 1-0. We were up 5-1 after 5, scored 3 runs in the 6th and 7th innings to secure a W. Notable performers, Samantha Reynoso, she pitched a full game, and she was really, really impressive. We kind of got – our pitching was inconsistent, to say the least, over the weekend. But once we finally got a foothold in, it really showed, and it kind of stabilized our bats too. So a really good game for her. Jeannie Riley went 3 for 4, and Sammy Miller had another 2-hit game. February 27th, we were supposed to play Chattanooga again, and I wager we would have gotten another win. Unfortunately, that game was canceled. So it was a good weekend, I think, overall, as far as opening the season goes. We were punching up a little bit in our first 2 games, and that showed. But as we moved in against Chattanooga, who's right around our level, we showed that we're going to be a good team around the ASUN.
We've got another invitational coming up. We head out to Montgomery, Alabama on Friday, March 4th, play North Alabama and Eastern Illinois. then come back on Saturday, play Eastern Illinois again, and then Alabama State, and then on Sunday play Alabama State again. So it'll be a good weekend for us. I think we'll pick up a couple wins there and really start getting that momentum going.
Yeah, let's hope the weather's not bad. I think that really hurt us. Yes, you say we avoided playing Butler, who are a good softball school, but it stinks that the weather happened and it was just inconsistent. So I think we'll have a good weekend this weekend. Moving into track, we had the indoor championships in Lynchburg, Virginia. The women finished 4th in their debut in the ASUN with 97 points. Nothing to complain about there, and I think they were unlucky to get 4th. You had some teams above them do some stuff they hadn't done yet, and to get 3rd and 2nd. And the men finished 6th with 50 points. For the women, Quintasia Perry won gold in the 200-meter with Amaya Matthews and Felicia Phillips scoring points in 5th and 6th. Joan Larinaga won the 3,000-meter gold. Laura Taborda and Grace Kilroy added points in that event in 4th and 7th.
Perry's going to do what Perry's going to do. We kind of knew she was going to win. It was an expected performance, but we had some girls really step up and get some points for this team. That was really needed. And what helped, too, is our girls 4x4 finished 2nd, set another school record with a time of 3:45.99. So we had a good performance there, and we had Perry finish silver in the 60 meters. Madison Fleming took silver in the 60-meter hurdles. So overall, it was a good first ASUN Indoor Championship, and building off of this coming into next season, I think we'll be in the top 3 for sure.
Yeah, I think we did a lot of good things, and we've set ourselves up well for the women moving into outdoor track. For the men, it was a curious weekend, to say the least. Ahmed Jaziri, who as we've covered on the podcast, is like the greatest 3,000-meter runner ever. He didn't run it in the indoor championships. I talked to a running journalist. He's my brother. He does great work. He said that he didn't run the 3,000 because EKU wanted to maximize points, and they felt that they had a better shot of putting points in if he was in the mile, and they also wanted him to qualify for the indoor championships. Unfortunately, he didn't. He finished 2nd in the mile with a time of 4:03.32. Jan Badia finished 5th in that race to score points. In the 3,000, unfortunately, we didn't get the win, which we had to do that if Ahmed wasn't going to run it. But we finished 2nd and 3rd. Pedro Palencia and Jackson Sidal did that. So, not horrible, but definitely a little underwhelming. Our field events did not give what they usually give at these events. So, for the men, it was fine. You're never going to complain with 6th in your debut. But, that's a little disappointing, and I know that they are. So look for them to hit back strong as we get into outdoors. Indoor track's not done for the men because Ahmed's got to go and compete at the NCAA Indoor Championships. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. But, a great indoor season for our track and field team.
Beach volleyball kicked off their season this past weekend. They went down to Tusculum, and it was a hard-fought weekend. They unfortunately didn't come out with a win. So Friday they played Carson Newman University. They lost 4-1, but a bright spot, our number 4 pairing, Sydney Shane and Maddie Campbell, got the win in 3 sets for them. But we had a couple pairings that went to 3 sets, and it was a close matchup. I think it was a pretty even matchup from all the pairings. It was hard fought, just couldn't close it out in the end. But it's a good first match for the team, but couldn't come out with that one. We played UT Chattanooga afterwards, lost 4-1. This time Bailey Rima and Callie Walker got the only pairing win at number 5. Again, another hard-fought matchup there. Our number 1 pairing, Shannon Stone and Hannah Keating, lost in 3. Peyton Walker and Sarah Mitchell lost in 3. So it was a tight game all around. Yeah,
as is expected from a young team, a new team, we don't have the experience yet to close games out. That's something you just learn and we just got to get experience. What I liked from this whole tournament, we played Tusculum on the 26th and lost 5-0, but I didn't feel like we were completely outclassed by any of the teams that we played. The other teams were better. Don't get me wrong, but we showed up and we made a good showing. It was a struggle for some, but we're getting better. And I think as the season goes on, expect us to get rolling a little bit, especially for the Stone Keating pairing. I feel like they're going to be something special as the year goes on, as they get more experience. Then I'm excited to see where our beach volleyball team goes.
I'm also looking forward to seeing how Walker and Mitchell pair up with each other. When we looking at the scores here, they played Tusculum. They lost theirs 21-18, 22-20, and then 15-12. So they're right there till the end. Just a couple points didn't go their way. And I think with more experience with each other, this is the first tournament. You're still feeling out the pairing, seeing who works well in which spots. Sometimes the coach can mix up the pairings just to see what's going to end up being the best for the team. And so I look to see them kind of get their rhythm going as the season continues. But they don't play this coming weekend. They're off until March 12th when they head out to the College of Charleston Beach Classic and look to hopefully get a win there.
Hopefully, I think just remember, guys, we gotta appreciate the fact that a new program. I just want to see steady improvement. If we go 0-3 again, but we lose like 3-2. That's what I'm hoping for. Just to see us climb and maybe punch up and steal one. So moving into men's golf. Up next, they've got the Sea Palms Invitational, March 4th and 5th in St. Simons Island, Georgia. The Sea Palms Golf Club. They didn't do anything over the last week. They kind of took a break. So we'll have the updates for you on that when they play, and we'll see how they do.
All right, we've got predictions coming up. We've got our predictions correspondent, Derek, coming in, and he'll give us the updates from this past week.
Hey, guys. So this past week, Abby went 0-2, unfortunately.
Ooh, that's tough.
To make her
Hard
record
loss.
1-5 on the podcast. And Zach is finally on the board.
Oh, yeah.
1-1 this week to bring his overall record to 1-7.
We're getting there. We're climbing. Thank you.
We showed him some grace. Jaziri didn't run the 3,000, so you can't win a race you don't run. So we decided to give that one a scratch, and
that's not grace. That's expected. This is we have to uphold the rules of competition. Don't act like you did me a pity by scratching that. I don't want your pity. Well,
we've got a fresh week of sports coming up. Zach, what are you thinking for this week?
So for this week, I think so let's think here. So Kennesaw State, of course, I'm not going to predict a loss because you can't do that, and I don't think we'll lose. I think we're going to have Richard gets. We'll say he'll lead us in assists this game because if we're going to win, he's going to have to show up, and then we get a win. I think the girls, Ariel Kirkwood leads us in scoring from off the bench, has a huge night, and we advance in the women's tournament as well. And then, of course, as I'll just predict it till I hit it, Sebastian's going to hit a homer in between our next podcast. So those are my three predictions. Give me yours, Abby.
All right. I think that when we're looking at softball, I think Carly Robinson's going to have another homer.
Okay.
She had one last week. I think her bat's hot. I think she's going to continue that on.
It's not bad. It's a good pick.
I think I'll throw in one for basketball, too. I think Jamaro's going to have 20.
Ooh.
Okay. He's going to go off. He's not going to want his season to end.
And we're going to win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So
of
these are all invalidated if we lose.
If we lose, we'll just immediately scratch.
We'll just scratch it if we lose. Yeah.
Just take the L.
Yeah, we'll just forget they happened.
Yeah. And I think the women are going to out-rebound Kennesaw State.
Women out-rebounding Kennesaw
at least 5.
State. By at least 5. There we go. Now that's a real prediction.
I was getting there.
So, we our lovely predictions correspondent omitted one. Producer Ryan, he has no confidence in us as predictors, and he said they'll get none right. Well,
wrong.
The only one of us that got none right was producer Ryan. He's not even coming on the pod today. That's how embarrassed he is with his prediction. Oh, and there we go. Now I've got him walking over. There we go.
I think he's gonna make another one.
I think he's making another prediction. Oh, sit down, producer.
What exactly are you wanting me to say here?
Oh, just that you were.
Okay, I do want to backtrack here. Abby did go 0 for, and you only won 1. So
yeah,
listen. You're 1-7. I'm 0-1. There's still a large gap between us.
If we look at
that's all, and that's producer Ryan, ladies and gentlemen.
Had to get him on the pod, and if that's riling him up into defending himself, what are we gonna do? So. That about does it for us this week. Check out easternprogress.com for daily content updates. Follow Abby at SportsEP on Twitter. She is always coming in clutch with the updates. We have a new print edition, our sports special edition of the Eastern Progress hits the stands on Tuesday. We've got player profiles and season previews for spring sports and both basketball teams, as well as some club teams. Do not miss it.
I think you'll really like this edition. Being sports fans. We've got some good content. We've got a little bit of a deeper look into some players and teams you might not hear a lot about, and we put a lot of work into it, so I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah, you guys do great work. So that does it for us. We'll get to you next week. Got anything, Abby?
No, thanks for listening.
All right, guys, see you.